Shalom everyone. So I thought I would do a very quick video on modesty, as I do, considering it is one of my favorite topics and something that I have a very big passion for. I won't be using scripture as I do want this to be a very short video. However, I will be doing other videos in the near future on modesty. But I thought I would do this video just because of some comments on Facebook that I did read through regarding the topic. And so, when I first started wearing my head covering, I was told by many people, actually, including some Jews, that I shouldn't be wearing a head covering because I'm unmarried, and that, the head covering was only for married women. And I was also told by a few people as well that I can still wear, for example, the clothing that I used to wear, or perhaps, I can still wear jeans or leggings and perhaps just cover my private bits. And to me, I wasn't taking that advice on anyway, because I did want to please and glorify Yahweh. And I'm not saying that people who wear leggings or jeans aren't, but I suppose that's just my opinion and view, that I wanted to dress a certain way and still dress in a head covering, and that I didn't want to be like the rest of the world. And I believe that, once Yahweh actually does transform you on the inside, it is much easier, and you sort of tend to more obey Yahweh's commands and obey also in a dress sense. Now, we all know that modesty is not just a dress issue, but it is definitely a heart issue. And I think, once, like I said, you have been transformed, you tend to show that outwardly as well by being set apart and wearing modest clothing too. And I've been finding an issue with some people who have, adamantly been telling others that, if you're single and you're unmarried, you pretty much can dress immodestly. You can, dress however you like, really. And I just think, in my humble opinion, that immodesty of all sorts is wicked. And I think, we really need to do some repenting and soul searching, if you will, and really have a sit and talk with Yahweh and really listen to him and, let him guide us in the way that he wants us to walk and dress. And I just think, I don't know, I just don't see anybody who is truly walking with Yahweh, having that heart to really want to dress like the world and be like the world and still say, yeah, I'm a believer. Coming from an Eastern European background, we were always taught to not only dress modestly and proper, but, we were raised with the mentality of, you will one day become a wife, so you pretty much learn everything there is to know and are trained in, whatever is to know of how to be that good wife. And I know that within some Eastern European cultures, most, if not all men, when they are looking for a wife, are definitely not going to marry someone who has been out there, to say, for lack of a better word, or has dressed immodestly or any of that sort of behavior. And yes, they will definitely go out with you and use you and abuse you if you are dressed in an immodest way if you're showing, well, I suppose you're everything to everybody, but once it does come to marriage, they definitely know who to look for. And so when people say, if you're a single person, you can dress however you want, you don't have to dress in a modest way, I just think that is ridiculous. Um, especially if you are looking for marriage. Um, and I suppose maybe things have definitely not changed when it comes to believers, believing men who are looking for marriage. They are certainly not going to perhaps want to marry someone who is just like the world. Um, and many people, I think also, many even believing women, don't realize that they still can be a stumbling block to believing men, and that believing men are not necessarily, I suppose, immune or exempt from feeling certain feelings. Um, because if you are dressed immodestly, they are automatically still gonna, look at you. Um, and that can definitely cause some feelings. And so I think whether you are married or unmarried, we are to be set apart. We are to not love the things of this world. And I think all people, whether married or unmarried, should be dressed modestly, men and women. And, like I said, we have to be set apart and bring glory to Yahweh and glorify Him only. And, yeah, just set apart, like I said. And so, yeah, I just find it odd that so many people, believing people, are actually still justifying many things. Even for example, they keep saying, well, and I know a couple people who have said, well, the Bible doesn't specify certain drugs like cocaine or, whatever type of drug. And I think so, because the Bible doesn't specify it specifically, does not mean that it is okay to do cocaine now, for example. And so just because scripture might not specify a certain thing doesn't make it okay. And I definitely think that it is not okay to be a believer or claim to be a believer and dress in a way that is, I suppose, not pleasing to Yahweh. I think everything we do in behavior, and of course including in dress, has to be in a way that is pleasing to Yahweh. And I say this all the time, I don't think that, when it comes to scripture, that your opinion matters really. I think if Yahweh hates a certain thing, we are to hate it. And the same can be said if He loves something, we are to love that. And so I suppose I just wanted to make this video to sort of really point out that immodesty is definitely wicked, and there should be no distinction between, well, a married woman only has to dress in a head covering or dress modestly, whereas a single woman who is perhaps looking for a man to marry can dress however she likes so that she can get that man. I think, it is true that a believing man who wants to get married is going to look out to marry that person, that woman who is set apart, who is, transformed, inside and out, and who does choose to wear modest apparel and be set apart. And I know I'm saying set apart a lot, but I think that is key, especially if we are believing men and women, and if we are wanting to please Yahweh. So some comments that I do see, I just shake my head and think, are you serious? You're supposed to be a believing man, a believing woman, and yet you are making so many justifications, so many excuses, so looking for so many loopholes as to not do certain things, Yahweh's way. And I think, if you want to dress immodestly. If you want to, I suppose, do your own thing, then do your own thing. But I suppose when it does come to modesty, and if you're not, as bad as it sounds, if you're not dressed modestly yourself, I don't think you need to voice your opinion. Um, and that is just my opinion, because I think if you're going to represent Yahweh, you do need to represent him in a certain way, in a set apart way. And if you're not going to, like I said, that is your prerogative. If you want to dress like the world, if you want to wear short skirts and singlet tops, if you sort of can't handle the heat, then I suppose when it does come to the topic of modesty, I suppose I'd say please keep quiet and keep your opinions to yourself. And maybe perhaps even do some more research on the topic, and pray about it and speak to Yahweh about it. But yeah, just some of these comments that I'm seeing are just making me think, how are, even believing women so unfortunately deceived and ignorant that they would rather be like the world than to be truly set apart for Yahweh. So I'll just leave it at this. I didn't really have notes per se for this video. I kind of just wanted to voice my opinion. But I will definitely be doing more videos on modesty and even more detailed videos. But yeah, I just sort of wanted to do this short video, and it's going on 12 minutes, so it's not as short as I thought, but I will leave it at that. So thank you for watching, and until next time, shalom.